the sunshine-colored bridge. In a vast, deep green primeval forest where the Silver River stream meandered like a strip of silver silk, there existed a small, diverse community of animals. On this side of the bank, among the sturdy roots of ancient trees, was their shared home. Opposite, on the other shore, lay a fertile meadow with oak trees heavy with acorns, sweet raspberry bushes, and honeycombs gleaming like golden amber. The two shores had long been connected by an old wooden bridge, built long ago by the hands of kind hunters. Life flowed peacefully with its own rhythm for each individual. There was Miss Squirrel, named Suey, agile and pragmatic, who always believed that individual diligence was the key to every problem. All day, she busied herself collecting and hoarding nuts for herself in a secret burrow. Mr. Hedgehog, named Thorn, with his sharp, spiky armor, was a kind soul, but lonely. Many times he wanted to help others, but unintentionally, his quills would hurt them. Gradually, he withdrew into himself, becoming a silent figure on the fringe of the forest. Miss Rabbit, named Cotton, was so timid that she feared every strange sound, always huddled deep in her burrow. And Honey Bear, named Chubby, large but clumsy, always felt superfluous because his strength often only ended up breaking things. Then one night, the great deluge arrived. Rain poured down as if from buckets, thunder roared, and the Silver River suddenly turned ferocious, sweeping away everything in its path. At dawn, the entire forest witnessed a scene of devastation. The only wooden bridge had vanished, leaving only the lonely bridge piers standing on the two banks. Between them was a raging muddy torrent, so wide that even Bear Chubby had to step back. In the first days, they survived on their stored supplies, but soon food ran out. Hunger began to gnaw at the peace. Squirrel Suey climbed daily to the highest treetop, gazing at the other shore with eyes full of longing and despair. Rabbit Cotton cried constantly, afraid of starving. Bear Chubby sat dejectedly on the bank, his face gloomy, blaming himself for being useless. Only Hedgehog Thorn, in his solitude, began to observe the current and what remained. A week passed and the situation worsened. The health of the old and weak animals began to fail. At the moment of deepest despair, Hedgehog Thorn spoke up. His voice was deep and calm. "I think we can build a bridge ourselves." The whole group looked at him with skeptical eyes, especially when they saw his sharp, prickly coat. But there was no other choice. Hedgehog Thorn's plan was based on keen observation. The rocks protruding midstream could serve as pillars. The flexible bamboo by the bank was ideal material, and the sturdy vines could be used for tying. The problem was, he couldn't do it alone. I know how to weave really strong ropes." A voice as small as a mosquito's sounded. Rabbit Cotton, her face flushed, stepped out from behind her mother. "My mother taught me how. I can climb the tallest trees to throw ropes across to the other side." Squirrel Suey suddenly spoke up, though doubt still lingered in her heart. And I can pull the heavy bamboo," Bear Chubby stammered, his eyes looking down at the ground as if afraid of rejection. The work began with awkwardness and lack of coordination. In their first attempt at cooperation, Squirrel Suey, in her haste, almost dropped Rabbit Cotton's bundle of ropes into the water. Hedgehog Thorn accidentally brushed his quills against Bear Chubby, making him cry out in pain. Bear Chubby, trying too hard to prove himself, snapped a precious young bamboo shoot. Words of blame, heavy glances began to appear. They seemed on the verge of falling apart. That night, while everyone was exhausted and dozing off, Rabbit Cotton, with her sensitivity, quietly re-wooved the broken ropes. Hedgehog Thorn stayed awake all night thinking of ways to fix the mistakes. At dawn the next day, he was the first to apologize to Bear Chubby. That unexpected action softened the atmosphere. Bear Chubby, moved, also admitted he was too clumsy. Squirrel Suey looked at her store of hoarded nuts, then unexpectedly brought them out to share with everyone, including the old animals not involved in building the bridge. "We need strength to work," she said, her voice for the first time lacking its usual calculating tone. A wave of empathy spread. They began to truly listen to each other. Hedgehog Thorn learned to move more carefully to avoid hurting others. Bear Chubby was guided on how to apply his strength gradually. Rabbit Cotton, protected by everyone, gradually became less timid and turned into the indispensable rope-weaving expert. Squirrel Suey used her agility not only for climbing, but also to encourage and bring water to her tired friends. Challenges kept coming. A strong gust of wind almost blew away the unfinished structure. A ferocious water snake posed a threat. But now they knew to rely on each other. Bear Chubby used his large body to shield his smaller friends. Hedgehog Thorn used his sharp quills, once a barrier, to threaten the enemy. Squirrel Suey cleverly used her alarm calls. Rabbit Cotton skillfully hid the important tools. After 10 days and nights of struggle, the bamboo bridge was completed. It wasn't perfect, even slightly lopsided. The knots were rough in places, but it was the crystallization of sweat, tears, and above all, the mutual understanding of four hearts. They called it the Sunshine-Colored Bridge, because it was completed under the first sunlight after the storm, and because it brought hope as warm as the sun. When the whole group crossed the bridge together, not only was food brought back, but also smiles and a bond they had never known before. They realized that Hedgehog's quills could protect the whole group. Rabbit's timidity made them more cautious. Squirrel's calculative nature helped manage resources better. And Bear's clumsy strength, when properly directed, became a foundational power. A profound lesson. This story not only teaches about the power of unity, but also points out that everyone carries within themselves both sharp thorns and soft parts. The greatest lesson is to learn to accept the thorns of both oneself and others, and then turn them into tools for protection and building, instead of avoiding them or feeling inferior. Differences, even weaknesses, when placed correctly and connected with the right complementary pieces, create a complete and enduring picture. The greatest bridge is not built from stone or steel, but is erected from empathy, patience, and the courage to step past one's own fears and reach out to a fellow traveler. Sometimes it is precisely the cracks created by misunderstandings that allow the light of friendship to seep in and bind hearts together.